Hello there, you're watching and listening to another Scoutcast from www.fantasyfootballscout.co.uk, and my name is Mark.
And my name is Jonty.
My name's Andy.
My name's Az.
And I'm Bharat.
And yes, we have a guest on the show. You can tell there's a guest on the show because there's only one of us who doesn't have a beard, and it's a prerequisite to have a beard if you host this show. That person is Bharat Dodi, who happens to be the number one in the world. Welcome to the Scoutcast, Bharat. It's a pleasure to have you on board.
Thank you for having me, guys. I've been listening to you for a while, and it's super exciting to be on the show. Listening
to us for a while, and he still comes on, Jonty. That's the first risk he's taking. Unbelievable. Yeah, we should say a disclaimer before we start because we've got a bad reputation on this Scoutcast for having people who are near the top of the FBL, near the end of the season. We've had a few on here. And then had the displeasure of watching their seasons capitulate. And I really hope that doesn't happen again. So first of all, Bharat, you're incredibly brave to come on for that reason. Secondly, it's what time is it and where are you in the world at the moment?
Well, I'm in India, Goa, actually. So it's 2 a.m. here. 2
a.m. So we're keeping you up and you're coming on and you're risking giving away some secrets to those that are behind you. And the chasing pack is on. We're going to talk about our game weeks in a minute and talk about how you're getting on. And we've got lots more questions for you tonight. Don't worry, listener. We're not going to do much talking tonight. We're going to let Bharat have his moment in the limelight for the Scout because it's such a good pleasure to have the world's number one on the show. But let's do our game week, shall we? Let's go through those first, and then we'll get the questions to Bharat. So, Jonty, do you want to kick us off? You at the bottom, Jonty. I don't want to take any pleasure.
Yeah, no, I think. Do you know what I think we should do? We should get Az to go first.
Okay.
And give him the glory because he
deserves it. Absolutely. Az, tell us about your game week.
Well, went Salah-less, didn't I? So that was, I decided a few weeks ago to sell Salah for Ali, and it looks like it's actually paid off with a couple of points. But I tell you, that Saturday game, watching that Stoke game, I mean, the first 5 minutes, Salah running through on goal.
Yeah.
I just had my head, I dropped my drink, I had my head in my hand. I was like, that's it, that's literally my week. That's my week over. And he puts it wide for the first time this season. I just couldn't believe it. And then after that, every time he got the ball, I was sure he was going to score, but he just didn't. And yeah, it was really good. I was quite happy with that. It's good. I bought in Sterling instead of Salah because I was pretty close to bringing Salah back in when I saw the league team sheet. And in the end, I just stuck with the plan, which was to focus on City and Spurs. Bought Sterling in, got a hat trick, a kind of a strange hat trick, but hat trick of assists, which was really nice. And I bought in Vertonghen. And I mean, I watched that game last night. He could have had like 25 points in that game. He hit the post. He set up Kane, who strayed offside. So I was happy, but a little bit disappointed that he only came away with 6 points there. Because I think he deserved a lot more.
He was outstanding on the night. I was at the game, and to be fair, Spurs should have conceded a goal. So we're quite fortunate to get a clean sheet, and maybe should have got attacking returns from him instead, which would have been a turn up for the books. But outstanding, as I think your moves, like to go about Salah, to get Sterling in, to get Vertonghen in at this stage in the season, and Ali as well delivering for you. That must have been a very welcome return because you kind of put faith in him, haven't you?
Yeah, and I said last week that he was, out of him, Son and Eriksen, he was the one that I was kind of the least excited about, and I think actually now I'm kind of quite excited about because I think Son had a pretty poor game, and I think he's definitely going to be a risk of not starting one of the next two. Eriksen hasn't had a rest at all, and I wouldn't be completely surprised if he missed out in one of the games. Yeah. And I think actually now Ali's kind of gone up to the one I want, and I'm actually looking at my team, and I'm pretty well set up for the double game weeks. And I think a lot of people around me have got Son, Willian, players like that, and I'm looking at my team and thinking, should be all right. So yeah, pretty happy.
Good job. I'm pleased for you, Raz, because you've had a couple of tough weeks, but then obviously you've come around it in the free hit in the double game week, and that one 52, great score. Next is Andy, 42, nearer the average, but you fairly happy with that, Andy?
No, there was a load of rubbish. I basically got saved my. I've had Vertonghen since game week 32. I didn't see the game, but everyone was telling me afterwards how close he was. So that was a bit frustrating, but finally gets a clean sheet. I was kind of saved by my defence this week. I had double Burnley clean sheet, Loughton and Long. Vertonghen. No one else really did anything apart from Kane. I had Salah captain. Similar story to as I was watching. I couldn't believe how much space he was in. I thought there was going to be another defender further back. I was there going, don't miss it, don't miss it, don't miss it. And as soon as he chipped it, I looked away. I thought it was in. But there's no way he's missing that. And obviously he did. So yeah, just Kane really was the only attacker that did anything for me. I guess you could say I bottled the Leicester to Man City moves. I couldn't do it for free. I mean, if I could do Mahrez to Sterling for free, it was a no-brainer. It was just a bit of indecision. I didn't know who to take out for a hit to fund it, and I wanted to wait until this week, and it's hurt now. So still got to make the same move. But yeah, triple clean sheets in defence, but otherwise nothing really. Not happy with it at all.
And I was exactly the same. I had to take a hit to go Mahrez, Vardy to Jesus and Sterling. It would have to have been an 8-point hit because I've had to have made it 3 moves. So I couldn't do it. I couldn't justify the 8-point hit. As it turns out, it would have been the best thing to do because Sterling and Jesus outscored Mahrez and Vardy by that much. Now I can do those moves. I can make the 3 transfers with a 4-point hit. It suddenly seems palatable, but of course I've missed out on the points. So like you, yeah, I should have gone a week early, but the 8 was just a little bit too much. So I didn't do it, and I ended up with 38. Salah captain, I didn't go Kane. Well, I'm sure we're going to talk about Kane later on, so I won't dwell on that. So yeah, not too bad, but I mean, below average, and I got a red arrow. So it was all, I think I came 4 million in the world or something, which, you know, it's one of those things. Wasn't a big game week for many players. And talking of which, we'll get on to Jonty and then Bharat next. So Jonty, your game week, very similar, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah, so same score, but very different players. So I had Lukaku, got rid of him for Jesus. So that was probably literally my only highlight of the week, really. So I got 38, got Loughton clean sheets, Kane goal, but it was actually my worst game week of the season. So I went game week 30, 5 before my best game week of the season, gone to the worst. But I only actually dropped a few hundred. So it looks like a lot of people around me had a bad game week, and a lot of those kind of chasing pack didn't have quite that push. So I'm just outside the top 2,000 though. So just before Bharat goes next, I just wanted to kind of explain a bit more about him and about his season. So we know that he's world number 1. So that's the one we know. But this is his 7th season. And it's actually not an accident that he's world number 1 in a way. So he's got quite a good pedigree, really. He finished 2.8 thousand in 2015-16. That was your highest. So that was great. And you've had a really good record over your career. You've had a further top 10,000 finish, 2 more in the top 30,000. But last season, disaster struck. So we'll find out about that maybe as well. And we finished just inside the top 1 million. So that's a rarity, though. Otherwise, a very good career so far. You had a great start to this season. It's something I've never had, and very few of us have had here. And you started off with an overall rank of 24,000, which is incredible. Big Manchester City, Manchester United backing there. That helped you. They took up 6 of your 11 slots. So by game week 5, you're in the top 2,000. And then in the top 1,000 since game week 7. And Bharat played his game week 15 wild card, absolutely crucial. It took him into the top 10, where he has remained ever since, and he has spent 18 of the last 19 game weeks. I think I counted that right. 18 of the last 19 game weeks in first, and he's still got his bench boost to play, so he's doing really well. His current team is very much dominated by game week 32 picks. So, Bharat, after that massive build-up, how did your game week go?
Yeah, go for it.
Well, the game week was a bit of a disaster. I usually go heavy on defense because, there's a lot of value to be had there. And, between them, all 5 of them got 0 points. So that was tragic. And, like a couple of you here, I was also debating, should I go Mahrez to Sterling? Should I go Mahrez to Sterling? And then Sterling was 0.1 midweek. And, that was the end of that decision. And as you know, 3 assists. So, yeah, a few regrets. I thought, should I take out Bailly and Christensen because they both stopped playing? Should I take them out a little bit earlier? I thought, Bailly, Mourinho's strategy is let's pick the centre back that's right for the game. So Lindelof when there's a really weak team because he's good on the ball. Bailly against all the top 4 teams usually comes out. And I thought against Arsenal, he's definitely going to come out because Aubameyang, really fast. Bailly's the one guy who can counter him. Surely he's going to play. Arsenal are probably not going to score because we're going to play a weak team, and of course, even that was wrong. So, looking to go back to the drawing board, see whether to take out Mahrez this week. Excited to get your thoughts later on the show about whether you think Sterling will play the next 3 or not.
Yeah, I mean, the defenders thing, I've never ever seen a team ranked as high as yours, obviously, but ranked anywhere. I mean, not amongst us, get 5 zeros for defence. Normally you get a point, don't you? Someone comes on, gets a book in and ends up with 1 point. But to get 5-0 is absolutely incredible, and still be number 1 in the world after that. I mean, that is amazing. And I mean, what were you think? I mean, what do you think now about Christensen and Bailly? You had Chilwell and Morgan, just to explain as well, and of course Alonso, who a lot of us held as well. So we can understand it, given the players you've got. I guess Christensen and Bailly are the two now in danger, are they? Oh,
for sure. They're going out this week, come what may, because that bench boost is coming out, and everybody's got to play. So it's not deciding who's coming in. Probably, I mean, again, I'm thinking maybe Van der Hoorn from Swansea or a cheap Southampton defender. Plus, if the Man City Roulette, if we can find out who's going to be playing from their defense, it's definitely the right move.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm gonna start off with a question first of all, because I want to ask about last season and this. As Jonty said there, you had a nightmarish season, considering how well you'd done previously. Top 10,000 finishes and a 2,000 finish. Then you came just outside the top 1 million, and now you're number 1 in the world. How do you go from that season to this one? What has been different this season compared to last?
Well, there's a very boring explanation to that, I'm afraid. Last year,
that's fine. We're used to boring people. It's fine.
Okay. Last year I was doing my MBA at Oxford, and I was like, it's a bit hectic, and I just stopped playing fantasy for the year, and that was why I ended up at 1 million.
Right, we've all done it. We've all done our MBAs at Oxford, or I think, was it Cambridge as? I'm not sure which one it was. We've all been in that situation. We know the demands. No, that is absolutely fair enough. I think that's a good explanation, and it's not boring at all. So, yeah, absolutely. And might partly explain why you're number 1 in the world as well.
Why did you be there?
So yeah, of course. Sorry, it was it Cambridge? I can't remember. Anyway, Jonty, you got some questions for him. We've got this man here. We've got to get into his mindset and also what he's feeling right now.
Well, one thing I'm always interested in when you meet people who are number 1, or when they finish the season's number 1, is what those around them think. Your family, your friends, your partner, those types of people, because there's 5.5 million of us that play it around the world, but there's more people in the world, obviously. And for most people, you say, "Oh, I'm doing really well at fantasy football," and they turn around and go, So what's it like for you? Are they aware of your achievement?
I mean, I think you pretty much nailed it there. It's the roll of the eyes. My sister's been hearing about this for a while, and she doesn't take it too kindly. But a big game changer this season was, the FPL show, which Mark does. Because that comes on TV channel, Star Sports in India, and your show comes every Monday night. So there's a clip of that which sort of got shared by my friends on Facebook, and that got me a few plaudits from.
That's cool. That's cool.
No, it's kind of like, because none of us have been number 1 in the world, none of us ever will, but we're kind of like, if we got there, you almost imagine like you want to walk into pubs, everyone just goes, yes, here he comes, and because you kind of think. For us, it's such an achievement. For anyone who plays FPL to be number 1 in the world for any period of time, whether it be a game week or the 16 game weeks you've been there, you kind of want to build it up and imagine what it's like. So, I mean, do you find yourself trying to explain to people that it's a big game and it's quite a big deal, or do you just leave it?
To be honest, I leave it mostly because I have some really great friends who are into fantasy, and they give me all the plaudits I need. So it's not like go outside and be like, "Hey, there's this thing I'm winning." It's because I'm getting very, very lucky.
No, that's not fair. I mean, the thing is as well, it's like when we met, whenever I've been with Tom Fenley, who's previously won it, and Simon March as well, and I find myself when I'm introducing them to people, I go, "Oh, and he won FBL, by the way," and I find that just because I'm proud to know someone who won FBL, so I even through proxy project it onto them, because I expect the person to go, "Wow, did he?" But of course they never do. They often go, "What the hell is FBL?" But yeah, it's a weird thing because we're so into this that we kind of expect everyone around us to share that with us. But it's good you got some friends with you as well, because you can escape that as well. Jonty, more questions.
Another thing is I'm quite known as a dullard manager. I'm very cautious, very overcautious. If I'm the top of my mini league, I'll go very, very cautious. But being number 1 in the world, the pressure now. Are you feeling any pressure? Or are you just taking it in your stride?
He doesn't look like a man under pressure.
No, he doesn't. Pretty relaxed about it. I'm not sure I would sleep, but you've had this for 18, 19 weeks, so obviously you have slept. Are you feeling any pressure? And if so, how do you handle it? And what advice would you give us if we ever got to world number 1?
Imagine.
Well, it's quite interesting because it's been a wild ride, right? So in the first few weeks when I started climbing the rankings, when I started hitting 1,000, I was screenshotting every week just for good memories. I was like, I'm never going to be 800th again. I'm never going to be 400th again. Never going to be 400th again. And it was just wild. And I was sharing this with my friends. They're just like, you're an idiot. And then you get to first, and suddenly all the fun is gone. There's nowhere up to go. And now you're just worried. Now you're just like, oh no, they're coming for me. The gap is closing. What is the probability of holding it? Very, 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 very low. Will I keep getting lucky? So yeah, I think the ride, getting there was a lot more fun. But yeah, I did not expect to be holding on this long because, just probabilistically, you need mad luck. And I got mad luck, which is great. But I thought I'd quickly jump on this show now that the other guys are 4 points away. So maybe my last week. So I better get this one moment of fame out there.
And I was just thinking, because you've been looking at the people that have been kind of gunning for you, and some have come, some have gone, some you've swatted away, some have stayed there as well. Out of those that are behind you, really, is there a particular one of the managers that you've been particularly looking at their team and thinking, oh my God, this guy really knows what he's doing, I'm worried?
I mean, I think most of them know what they're doing. I mean, people have different strategies, but I would say a couple of weeks ago, you would say 5 weeks ago when I was doing my wild card, the two guys who looked really dangerous were, one was Rizwan and one was Lejuan. He's dropped to 11th, but Rizwan is still at second because they had all their chips. Rizwan has really high team value. So all the odds are stacked. I said, these two guys look particularly dangerous, but I also expected, one thing that shocked me a bit is that people haven't really picked out differentials. I thought, once you're around 15th, 20th, 10th, you mostly got your mini league racked up and you're going to go for big differentials. But I think maybe some people have missed a trick on just rolling the dice a little bit and, doing like a Ramsey captaincy or something like that.
I think that's coming, though. We'll see that, won't we? I mean, in previous seasons, we've seen going at 37 packs, but 38 they will. One thing you've got to worry about, Rizwan is obviously top of our league at the moment. Paul G in third. I don't know if you're aware about that, but Paul G has got access to the goals imminent table as a member. So I think that could be a real problem to you. John T swears by that. But yeah, Paul's got a good chance as well. He's gone up into third and he's top of our members league. It's going to be a good finish again. It's going to be a great finish again, I think. And it's great to have you on, of course, but we've got to wish luck to Paul and also Rizwan and all the other FFS guys who are following, because it's going to be another tight finish, and we love that for game week 38. As you got any questions? I mean, it's hard to, whenever we get access to someone who's top of the world, we're kind of like a bit dumbstruck, aren't we? A bit in awe.
Yeah, well, I was just going to pick up on, because Bharat mentioned the fact there was a lack of differentials around. But looking at your team, Bharat, you haven't really got many either. So you've got like Son and Willian and Barnes and players like that who are all pretty standard picks. I think that's the thing I'd really struggle with. Is it's that balance between sort of defending against the other players, but then also getting in someone who can put you that extra step ahead. Are you quite a risky player, or are you a bit of a jaunty, a bit of a dullard?
That's brilliant.
Well, I would say I'm a bit of a jaunty in the sense that I wouldn't be picking differentials until, and I don't think it makes sense to pick differentials until you're very close to the end, because your best bet is to go on expected value especially if you're chasing overall rank, when it's very hard to say, these few guys are the guys I need to differentiate again, or these few guys are the guys I need to block their differentials. It's your best bet is just to go whatever's most expected value.
You haven't got Salah, have you?
Yeah, but because I thought Salah would score less than somebody else. Because once he got injured for that one game week, I think around 33, I shipped him out thinking that he's going to get rotated because of the City game. He got yeah, that was smart. Yeah, this game week started off great when Salah got 2 points. I was like, yes!
Yeah.
But I can't imagine being world number one and then selling Salah. I'm not brave enough for that.
that because I just think that we make decisions and we haven't got that pressure added to it, and it's bad enough anyway, because obviously we're on the show and people watch what we do and we have to talk about what we do in advance. So there's a little bit of pressure. It's nothing compared to what it must be like if you're already holding a top ranked position. So making a decision like selling Salah, or in Jay's case when he sold Kane, massive decision, and obviously that got a lot of talk about that. We discussed it on it. These are huge decisions, and I admire Jay for doing that, and I really admire you for selling Salah, because you must be looking at game week 38 now and going, that could be a problem for me.
Oh, for sure. I think the plan this week is to get a little bit of money in the bank so that I can bring in Salah and captain him in the last week.
Yeah, right.
Unless there's one other thing, in which case I'm definitely not going to captain Salah last week.
No, absolutely. I think we should say a disclaimer that we don't want you to give too much away in your strategy, because that would be, we don't want to be responsible for you blowing it or someone catching you. Also, another disclaimer: don't, for whatever you do, listen to anything that we say and let that influence you in the final 2 game weeks, because
that's the best disclaimer.
Really, that's the best bit of advice we can give you tonight, is don't listen to any of us and what we're about to say in the next 45 minutes, because I don't want to feel responsible for ruining it for you, that's for sure, because you've done pretty well without us, I would say. Pretty well, as Granville would say. Okay, have we got any more, Jonty, before we move on to some of the community questions?
I just wanted to ask one thing. Is kind of, I suppose, a quick one really. Is who has been your star player this week? And I'm going to say not including Salah, because I would imagine. This season rather. Yeah, who's been your kind of star player? So not Salah, but it may be someone a little less obvious, but someone who's really just racked up a lot of points for you.
I would say early doors it was the defenders. Phil Jones was great in the beginning of the season. I had Otamendi from the start. He absolutely rocked it. So those two were great. Other than them, there was Lukaku early days when he was just scoring every week, and you had him captain for the first 6-7 game weeks. Good guy. Alonso, had him for my streak. When he scored a few, etc. That was really nice. That was when I was just getting into first position. It was a lot of it was down to him.
That's really interesting as well with those defenders you mentioned there, because often, because you would have got them before when they were popular, but not astronomically popular. So they were such a good source of surprise points as well. So that you're getting double-digit hauls, where most people are looking at maybe Salah and they're looking at their midfielders, but you're getting these big. Well, it sounds like you nailed all of them really. You've got Jones, Otamendi, and Alonso. You get them in the right place. No, it's just I just find it interesting, because next season we're going to be all thinking, how can we get to number 1? And it's those kind of things really. That
ironic with the 5 years.
I never really think that, to be honest, but yeah. One mistake you didn't make, you didn't get Alonso out of your team when Jonty got him in, and that's a mistake which thousands of people have made. And
I ruined Alonso.
Jonty will be solely responsible for not winning FPL if you hold on to him. So it's very difficult. Yeah, I mean, those defenders. I mean, as you had that strategy, didn't you? At the start of the season, you went big in defence, then you kind of got nervous and got cold feet, didn't you?
Well, the options started to dwindle, really, I felt, in defence, because I remember talking about all the wing-backs. I mean, Bharat didn't even go for the wing-backs. He had Jones and Otamendi, whereas you had Kolasinac, though, I saw you started with.
Wing-backs had so much value. In fact, I started the season with playing 4-5-1 and 5-4-1. So actually, for most of the season, I was playing 4 or 5 at the back. I think I would say that was the main differential, in the sense that it was just a different formation to everyone. So
why aren't I number 1 in the world?
That's interesting. You're onto that, you're onto it.
Just all the other players let me down.
You abandoned it before you should have seen it through. That was it. That was Barrett's good. Okay, let's get on to the community questions. We're obviously going to come back to you later in the show, Barrett, with questions as well. But we tend to let the community steer the show with some of their questions, and I'm sure you're going to be chipping in with some of these as well. Jonty, what have we got?
So Kane exit revisited. So some people are actually starting to think, if I haven't got him, is it worth getting him in? If I've got him, is it worth captaining him? So Mike's way, is Kane actually essential in double game week 37? Adrian Farouk, is it worth ditching Kane and just turning to City? Just forget Spurs and just go for City. And Frasmac wonders, did last night's Spurs performance put any of us off triple captaining Kane? So those of us here with the triple captaincy chip, it's got to be used vitally this weekend. And
right, I'm going to go straight to Andy, because I saw that Andy put his colours on the mast straight away and saying, of course I'm triple captaining Kane. So Andy, You haven't wavered at all, have you, after last night?
Did I say that?
You did. I saw on Twitter. I'm sure I saw in your stream last night. You said, "Oh, I'm definitely going to triple captain."
No, I definitely didn't say that. I don't think.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I'm putting words in your mouth. I apologise.
I don't think I am going to triple captain him now.
Okay, right.
So I feel like he's got two things going for him. Apart from obviously being a great striker in his day, he's going to play both games. I would bet money on that. I think it would be very surprising if he doesn't. And the other thing is fear. But if we're looking at form and fixtures are okay, but they're not as good as Man City's fixtures. And Man City are on absolute form. And when you look at form and fixtures together, I don't see how I can't captain Sterling or Jesus. I think I'm going to captain one of them. Now, I haven't decided which one. I just lost a bit of faith in Kane. He's completely out of form. If this was a single game week, I think we'd choose the City player. Obviously, there is a bit of doubt about whether Jesus or Sterling will play both games. But I just think... and maybe this is me trying to convince myself, but Huddersfield, they're getting the trophy, I think, in which case you'd imagine a full-strength team. And then the next game is the last game at home. So would he then want to put out another strong team just to see them off? I don't know for sure, but I just look at Sterling's stats and how he's played in the last few games, and he's incredible. He's even, for some stats, he's matching Jesus and Kane together, kind of goal attempts and stuff like that. Or he's very, very close. Expected goals, he's way ahead of Kane. It's easy to say now on Tuesday. Saturday's a long way away.
Friday.
Yes, Friday. His deadline's on Friday. I forgot about that. But yeah, I don't think I'm going to triple captain Kane. Apart from playing both games, I don't think there's enough there. Apart from back-to-back hat tricks potentially, to captain him at the moment.
I'm coming to Az next. How do you feel about that? I mean, Andy's not going to triple captain, but I mean, the first question from Mixway was, is Kane essential? I guess we want to have Kane, but are we going to captain him?
I mean, you can't sell him, can you? It would be ridiculous to sell him before a double game week against West Brom and Newcastle. It's just completely bonkers. So the question is, do you get him if you haven't got him? And I think you could make a case perhaps for not getting him if you haven't got some of the City players. So if you're sitting there with no Kane and no City, I think you have to prioritise City. I think you have to get Jesus and you have to get Sterling. I think those two are the most essential players for this game week. If you've got both of those, then I think Kane is next on the list. You've got to look at it in this kind of like list system, I think, this tier system. And I think some people are going to struggle to get Kane because if you haven't really planned for it and suddenly you're having to fund 12.7 million or 12.8, wherever he is now, to get him. I think some people are going to really struggle. The thing is that he played last night. He was absolutely terrible last night. I think Foden's probably going to play the Brighton game, and then it's going to be one of them missing out. And Sterling hasn't had a rest yet. It's hard to predict. But I think Kane is definitely safer. But it's between Kane and Jesus for me. I cannot decide out of them. I haven't got my triple captainship though, which is. It doesn't really change anything. You're still going to triple captain the play. You're going to captain anyway. But yeah, it's not as clear cut as it was a few weeks ago. That's for sure. No,
absolutely. Coming to you next, Jonty. I'll go before Bharat because I was at the game last night, so I'll give you my impression as well. But Jonty, what's your view at the moment on Kane?
I'm desperate to see signs of improvement because I really want to triple captain him. He seems the obvious choice. One thing about him that he has in his favours is actually nothing to do with his performance or stats or anything. It's the effective ownership. And it's really annoying when you've got a player like Kane and Salah, who their ownership's so high in the top 10,000 in particular, and their captaincy so high that they go above. Their effective ownership is above 100%. So if you don't captain them, every single goal, every single assist, every point bonus is a little notch on your red arrow, and that's what I was experiencing last night. And it was not a nice experience as well. I agree. I think Sterling, there's a chance he might miss one of those games, just a chance. With Jesus, I'm really glad I've got him in, but I'm not sure he's offering significantly more than Kane. So, looking like grasping at underlying stats, Kane had 4 goal attempts and 2 on target. That's actually an improvement on his recent performances. So that's a little sign for me there. He does need to get better though, definitely. He's not firing on all cylinders, and I am a bit worried that I just think he could explode at any moment. So it's a slight fear factor, but it's also that effective ownership. It really does I don't think I can sit through Kane matches and see that and see those points going and it adding to a red arrow for me. I'm looking at a bit of gamesmanship. I'm going to go for Kane, I think.
I think
okay.
just like I think that's a good point though. Is you're quite high up, so you're trying to stick to your rank, whereas I've just fallen outside the top 20k after this week. So captaining Kane, might keep me steady-ish and get me up a few thousand places. I'm just wondering if Captain Jesus or Sterling, they'll probably be quite far behind. I'd say is a pretty good differential. I'd say with Huddersfield and Brighton at home. I've
been asked this a lot today. It's been a popular question, and a lot of people have said. So I say, then what's your rank? And then when people say 20,000, 50,000, 100,000, and they say it's a choice between Kane and Jesus, I say Jesus every time, definitely, because that's a huge ranking boost potentially, and it's a risk reward thing. And I'm at the stage now where I'm not going to take too many risks, but. Definitely.
You are so boring, aren't you?
I know, but slow and steady.
I know what Jonty's saying, and I'm kind of in the middle ground. It's like, well, I'm quite happy with where I'm finishing at the moment. I don't really feel that my season feels like a 5k season. I might not get that, but I'm around that. So I'm wondering whether just to hedge my bets and go, I'll stick with Kane. I'll settle for what I've got because I'm quite pleased with 5k based on what I've had over the season. It's not been great, but I don't know. I saw him last night and he was dreadful. I mean, the goal papered over the cracks, but I was watching him. I was watching him very carefully. I was watching his movement, and he was doing as little as possible, and that's what's worrying. He wasn't coming for the ball to get it short and dictate play. He wasn't running beyond the defender or into the channels. He was sitting in the middle and moving 5 yards either way, and he was literally just following the ball with his movement. And he didn't want the ball. He didn't want to be put in a situation one-on-one for a defender. He didn't want to run over the top. He didn't want to come short. He just didn't want the ball. He's in the team at the moment just to get on the end of crosses. And even then, I don't think he's physically imposing himself enough. Like you say, he's not going for the ball. Something is badly wrong. And they're kind of he's playing it down. Pochettino said last night, interestingly, he's trying to get back to his best, his performance levels. He's trying to get back. So he kind of offered some clues that there's something wrong, but we're not going to know. It probably would have come out if he's having painkiller injections or whatever, but something is wrong. I was watching him so intently and I was thinking he's not going to score here. He got his goal in the end, but it was like the Brighton goal. It was set up for him beautifully and he converted it. But as he's right, he could have got an assist for Sissoko's chance. He could have got a goal from Son, set him up in the first half. He could have gotten in. He could have still come out with a big score. And that's the only thing with Kane, in that he's still got the instinct to get in the right positions and be found by teammates and have big chances. And maybe he's actually better than that, than Jesus is. And maybe Jesus does so much work outside the box, he's not going to be as good. So I'm still in two minds as well. We'll go to Bharat next. What do you feel? Without giving too much away, what's your feelings on Kane at the moment?
Well, I think you guys have said everything there is to say, really. I wouldn't get him in if I didn't have him in my team already. I would certainly be using those funds elsewhere. But having got him, it's a toss-up between Jesus and Kane for me. It's just hard. If he didn't do it against Watford at home, these other two opponents aren't that easy. Because you highlighted Newcastle, but Newcastle have had the best defense on expected goals over the past 5 game weeks. One of the best, as in the top 5. They're playing better than they were the rest of the season. West Brom is going to be their last game before going down. You can see them putting in a decent fight amongst their home fans. Whereas when you saw Man City's last game, they were just all over Swansea. And they've got 2 of those same home games. They could very easily be 5-0, 5-0 again.
Yeah, I mean, that's got to be the consideration, is that Jesus is going to get a lot of chances in that City team. I don't think that's in question. I mean, there's going to be 15 to 20 shots probably per game in that for City, and Jesus is going to get his share of those.
What's good with Jesus as well is he got 1 goal in a 4-goal match and got 3 bonus, which just shows that he's up there with that as well, which is always another good factor, especially when you've got 2 games and 2-3 bonuses and it's another 6 points.
Yeah, I've got to say, I am coming round to it after last night. I wanted Kane to impress me and he didn't, even though he got the points. Sterling, I think, going back to that, I do think he's going to miss one of the games. I have this theory though that Pep likes Sterling with Jesus rather than when Aguero's playing. I think he trusts Aguero to stay in the box and convert chances where Jesus comes out the box. So I think he likes to have Sterling with him because Sterling can compensate for that. But you kind of, he's due a rest, isn't he? I mean, he's done it with Sané, and Sané missed one game, and it looks like it's going to come round to Sterling because he's got Silva and Foden. Bharat, have you got Sterling in at the moment, or are you looking at that situation?
No, I haven't got Sterling. Again, the price rise got me midweek. I was going to go Mahrez to Sterling. And now it's exactly what you're saying. Should I take Mahrez, get Sterling? I like you, he's going to miss at least one of the next 3 games, if not 2. I'm hoping to. But yeah, I can't see him playing all 3 simply because it's time to give the youngsters a chance. He already did that with that last game. I mean, Walker was rested, Otamendi was rested. That was by no means their first team. So I am expecting Sterling to get rested. But the thing is, he can just do a lot of damage in that one game.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm taking the hit to get him in, and Jesus as well, because I think he'll play 2 or 3, and that will be enough. 3 double-figure returns in the last 3. That tells you the damage he can do. Okay, Jonty, Salah exit, I guess.
Yeah, so I mean, we've already got 2 Salah exiters in amongst us here. I think it does. So yeah, Thunder 66 UK and FPL the Daily Llama. Is it time to dump Salah? And JK is the one. Who to replace Salah with? I mean, there's lots of questions all along the same theme, really. He's only got 1 fixture. It's away to Chelsea. People are looking at that, perhaps with an eye on game week 38, and they're thinking, I think they're better midfield options, and especially if you haven't already got Sterling or one of the Spurs midfielders. I can see why people are doing it. But over to you lot, really. Some of us have Salah. Could he be jettisoned? And those without, you're feeling pretty happy without him.
How are you feeling about Andy?
I don't think I'm getting rid. I think that's a very luxury move at this part of the season. I'm sure Az is going to say it. The time to get rid of him is not this week. It was last week or the week before, or whenever the rest of the guys did it. I mean, Chelsea away. How many points are going to get from that? I don't know, but I'm definitely going to want him for game week 38. I'd say. Even if they get through the Champions League, I think it's 2 weeks after the final game of the season. So unlikely to be rested last home game of the season against Brighton, possibly needing some goals from the Golden Boot if Kane can up his game. So yeah, I'm not getting rid of him. I think if you've really got nothing else to do, and there's someone you really want that you can't fund elsewhere, then maybe if you've got enough money to get him back. But especially for those of us who are on game week 32 wildcards, who still hold in players like Mahrez, Willian and stuff, there's just so many other fires to put out. And let's be honest, if that chip goes in, which it does 9 out of 10 times, we wouldn't even be having this conversation, I don't think. Floodgates would have opened. He would have probably scored again, assisted somewhere. It's not like he's suddenly out of form or anything. He just got 4 kind of attacking returns against Roma. So you definitely get points against Chelsea, and I want him for game week 38. So it's not even a question of getting rid of it. I have looked at it. Possibly getting 3 big Man City players in, like Sané as well. But I just don't think overall it's worth it when I want him for 38.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same for me. 38's the one. I look at it and think, well, that's a captaincy, isn't it? Brighton at the end of the season. Brighton will be safe. Liverpool could be celebrating getting into the Champions League final. He's going to play that game, and he's probably going to seal the Golden Boot in that game as well. So for me, I'm keeping. I haven't even thought about getting rid. Just as Andy says, I've got Mahrez and Willian. They've got to go before then, maybe Alonso as well. What are you feeling about Salah? The fact you don't have him, what are you feeling about that going into game week 38 in particular?
When I sold him all those weeks ago, last week was the one I was worried about. That Stoke game at home. And I thought, it's sandwiched in between those 2 Champions League games. He might miss out, and then that'd be great. And then he didn't. And I saw him on the starting lineup, and I just thought, oh my God. But the time to sell him was then. I honestly don't think you could have sold him at any other point, because I think the week after the Everton match, he had Bournemouth, and then it was the free hit, and then he had Stoke, and now he's got Chelsea, which is a big game for them. Like they're going to need to put out a full strength side in that, and he does a lot better when he's next to Firmino and Mane anyway. So I think I wouldn't be surprised at all if he got 1 or 2 goals in that game, and then you're going to have to get him back, and you're going to have to pay more money. And who do you? I mean, there are plenty of players that you can get, but trying to pick the right one, you need to nail it. You need to sell Salah for a player who's going to get you double digits in this week, because you're probably going to spend a hit taking him out, and then you're going to need a transfer to bring him back in again next week. So it's only worth it if you get a player in. He probably gets you about 10 or 15 points. And there's so much uncertainty with players and rotation, and City mids look a great option, but which one do you go for? Do you go for one of the Tottenham guys? It's too risky for me if I had him to consider it. So I would definitely be sticking with him if I had him, and just hoping that he got some points against Chelsea.
Yeah, I think it's the wild cards as well. So many of us, many managers played their wild cards recently, 32, 33 or whatever, and that meant that they've shaped their team around a double game week. So it's very likely they've got other players to sell. We'll go to Bharat next because he's made that decision to get rid of Salah. You got through the Stoke game. Are you expecting a rough ride in the final two? Again, without giving away too much, Bharat, please.
Well, no, I'm feeling pretty safe this week. It's Chelsea away. Chelsea are reasonably solid, even though they've been conceding. Their underlying stats defensively are pretty good. And as for game week 38, yeah, I mean, I'd like to have him back as captain. Whether I do that will depend on how this game week goes. But yeah, I mean, definitely wouldn't be selling him right now if he was on my team, unless you're one of those few guys with a wild card in 36 and you've got, everything else is pristine. In that case, you can be like, yeah, I've got a free transfer, take him out, get someone who's playing 2 game weeks, and then bring him back in. Yeah,
this is it, isn't it? I think whenever I would have got rid of him at all, it would have been the window where I had the Mkhitaryan injury, so I was distracted by that, and in the end, I kept him because of that. I had to get rid of Mkhitaryan because it would affect my budget. I needed to make that move, so that stopped me from doing it. If I wasn't going to get rid of Salah, then I don't think I was ever going to do it at this point. So I think that's how I felt as well. John T, what are you feeling about Salah? You're going to have mixed emotions on the final day when he takes on Brighton, but presumably Brighton are going to be safe then. So you're going to want him to fill his boots, aren't you? His golden boots.
Yeah. I mean, I hope so. I hope Brighton are safe by then. Yeah, obviously I'm not going to get rid of him. I actually like the Chelsea game for him. I think he's performed quite well against the big side. So he's scored against Tottenham this season. He's already scored against Chelsea. 2 double-digit returns against Arsenal. So that's if you're of the persuasion that Arsenal are still a big side. 11 points to City, 15 points at home to Spurs. So, I think he could get, if Chelsea have to go for it, it's their only hope of getting top 4. They've got to beat Liverpool. Liverpool have to stop them. And Liverpool don't do, like what Stoke did to them. They don't do, let's try and stop them. Their way of stopping them is to score 5 or 6 goals.
Well, we're going to see that in Rome probably as well, aren't we?
Yeah, so that's what they're going to go for as well. Also, I don't think now this is going to sound strange about Eric Peters for Stoke, but he did a number on Salah. And he must have, I don't know what, he must have had superheroes coming in, the whole of the Avengers team, even Thanos himself, coming down and training him all week to say, stop Salah. We don't care how you do it. Make sure you don't get a red, happy for the yellow, but do not get a red and stop him. And he did it. Now, weirdly, I don't think Chelsea or indeed Brighton really have that type of player. Brighton's Bruno can maybe do that, but he's too old now, so he just wouldn't have the legs to do it, I don't think. And I just can't see I just cannot see Chelsea or Brighton defence keeping him at bay on his current form.
They're going to ruin us.
Unless they do an emergency signing of Eric Peters.
Well, it will be, well, I looked at Andy Carroll. It will be Alonso, presumably, up against Salah on that side, which is worrying. Unless they play Azpilicueta there, they could play Azpilicueta. That would be an answer. That could be a possible solution. Yeah. Actually, that's got me worried about Alonso now. I can't think of it.
Emerson's to be doing pretty well, isn't he?
Yes, but I think if I was backing anyone in the Chelsea team to stop Salah, it would be Azpilicueta.
I don't know if Conte's got, I don't know if he's got the game plan in him.
He's not bothered anymore. Yeah, no,
well, bothered anymore, and he's got Alonso there as his best player, and so he'll just say, "Look, he's going to score. Look, off your pop, Alonso. Get some goals yourself." I mean, that's going to be the only way. Having said that, I'm building this up to be a 0-0.
Great TikTok, that'd be.
To me,
you can see why John T's not a real life man.
Yeah, I'm building it up to be a 0-0, but in my head, I think this is going to be an absolute thriller. I think this is going to be a 4-3. This is going to be a classic. I'm definitely building up to a 0-0.
Predicting a 4-3 between Chelsea and Liverpool. Oh, my word, surely it'd be a 0-0. But yeah, who knows how that's going to go? That's what Liverpool. You can't predict how their matches are going to go because, like you say, they don't really have a way of sitting back. It's all about scoring goals and having that threat. And Chelsea will have to come at them, and that will surely leave space. So it's going to be interesting. And if you don't have Salah, Yeah, Chelsea looks good, and I guess you've got double game week players to compensate, so it should be fine, but it's going to be an interesting contest there. And also, we'll see his captaincy as well. I guess people are still going to captain Salah even in game week 37. Okay, we've talked about Man City attackers, we've talked about Sterling and Jesus a lot, but there's some questions on defenders. Let's look at those specifically, Jonathan, shall we?
Yeah, so Hand of Clod, who's the best Man City defender to get for the double? Or is it just a total lottery? Just choose one and pray. John L. Thompson, he's acting under the assumption, I think we all are here, that Jesus and Sterling are the best options to get. So if you're going to get a third one, quite simple, which one would we get, or would we not bother as well? So, yeah, over to you.
Let's go to Bharat first, because he obviously swore by Otamendi earlier. Do you still see him as the key City defender?
Well, it's tough because you don't know who's going to be nailed. I think... actually, John Stones might be your best bet. If he's back, he's gonna play at least 2 of the next 3. We know he's supposed to be fit for Huddersfield, so he might get introduced as an injury time as a substitute against Huddersfield. But then he'll definitely start the next 2 because Pep is gonna want to get him game time for the to get ready for the World Cup, and others are going to need to be resting for the World Cup. So I think John Stones is my dark horse pick. He's the one guy I could see doing all 3. If he can do it at Huddersfield, he's doing all 3. But he's definitely doing the next 2.
That's interesting. I mean, for me, I look at it, and the Walker injury is intriguing because there's talk that he could be out, and if he is out, Danilo comes in, doesn't he? That's another interesting pick that we got to. Because I was thinking today, is there anybody who could play right back other than Danilo? Probably isn't. I don't know if Zivchenko could play there. Maybe is he versatile enough to go right? We've seen him left. So that's the other dark horse pick. Like you said about Stones, I think Danilo could drop in as well, and that'd be very interesting. Andy, you're looking at the City defence, or are we just piling on an attack? Are we going to go for a third attacker?
Yeah, I'm pretty much looking at attack. I think it's just too risky. If Walker was out, then like you say, maybe Danilo becomes an option. But I fully expect Company to start the next game. Will he start the one after that? I just don't know. It's just too risky for me, I think, to go there. So I'll be looking at a third attacker. I mean, it's anyone's guess which ones will start. De Bruyne is probably the most nailed one, but he's obviously quite a lot of money. The thing, this kind of comes on to a question we got later on, but I actually looked up some of their percentage ownerships in the top 10K. And if you want a differential who can also get you loads of points with great fixtures, De Bruyne in the top 10K is only owned by 3.5%. That compares to Sterling, who's owned by 55%.
Wow.
And even Sané is 7.7%. Now, you might only get a game out of him, but he has just had a rest. So maybe if Sterling's the one to get a rest and Bernardo Silva plays 1, maybe Sané plays both. He could be an option. But it's just tough with Man City. I can't see any huge point that's standing out, which tells me that one of those is going to play every game, apart from maybe De Bruyne, but then he's quite expensive to get in. But that's some differential, I think, at 3.5% ownership.
Yeah, I mean, De Bruyne's had a lot of games, so it might be, again, like Bharat mentions the World Cup. Is there some responsibility for that with Pep as well? That's another angle to look at. And Toure, it could be his last game for City. Is he going to start the last game with that in mind? Because, there's talk that he could take the next penalty because of the sentimentality of him in his last few games for City. So that's another factor.
The next 3 games, though, are still arguably 3 teams that aren't safe yet. So Pep, I think he's already mentioned this about kind of respect and stuff. The only other player I've considered, actually, to fund my Jesus and Sterling move is Fernandinho or Gundogan. Now, Gundogan's probably a bit more of a risk now that Fernandinho's back. But Fernandinho's popped up with a couple of goals, even this week. 5 million, even if he gets 6 points, it's probably not the worst return. And if he pops up with an assist. So if you need someone really cheap around that price, and the only other one I can see is Kennedy. So I think a Man City player might be worth a risk there. So
absolutely. I mean, I'm looking at doing free transfers and getting a budget midfielder in. At the moment, I'm thinking, well, I'll get MacArthur or something like that just to save money for game week 38. But I could go Fernandinho. It's an option there if I wanted to play 5 in midfield. What are you feeling about Man City? I mean, it's all about Sterling and Jesus, obviously. That's a given. Is there a third player there? Is there a defender there?
Just on Fernandinho, just to mention, last year I did that with Xhaka because he was really cheap and he was all I could afford. He was awful. So,
Fernandinho is great, though.
You wouldn't consider Fernandinho at any other point of the season. Don't consider him now. Kennedy's
Do you know what? At the start of the season, when we all had De Bruyne and he wasn't getting in the box, I remember tweeting out something that Fernandinho had more touches in the box than De Bruyne at that stage. He gets in there.
I mean, if you want to pair
Fernandinho with legend if he scores.
It's not going to happen. I don't think.
I don't know. Andy's been picking them recently.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, yeah, it's a good risk. I think with the City defence, my strategy is don't pick any defenders from a team who has 4 centre backs who any can play. It's same with Chelsea. You just never know which defenders are going to start. And it's interesting that Bharat mentioned Stones, because actually my pick would be Laporte, because I think Pep wants to give him as much game time as possible before next year, get him gelled in, because he signed in January, and that could be on his mind. He's then got Stones, who's got, wants to get into the World Cup. You've got Kompany, who's the captain, so he's going to want to play Huddersfield. They've all got a reason to start. Ultimately, he's been their best defender all season. They've all got a reason. So how can you predict who's gonna play? I just think the defence is a complete no-go unless you go for Ederson
or Danilo if Walker is out. That'll be.
Or Danilo, but then Zinchenko could switch up. I wouldn't trust Danilo.
No.
At right back, he's not a right back, is he? I don't know what he is.
That is meant to be his natural position. Where is it left? Is it right? I mean, he's played.
Exactly.
I think he's cover for both sides. I mean, he has played left back and right back this season, but he's cover for both sides. That's why he was brought in. But yeah, I mean, I think there's a chance he could get free if Walker is out. I don't know if Zinchenko will play right side necessarily. And I think he will field strong teams. He has said that, and he's absolutely spot on.
If Stones is coming in, then you're not going to clean sheet anyway. So harsh. Can't stand him.
Puts a knife in again. John T, how are you feeling about City? Are you looking at a mid, or are you just going with a 2?
Well, I'm going to go with Sterling and Jesus, obviously, and I think I'm going to stick that way. And it's only because just the way my team's made up at the moment. The only player I would consider would be De Bruyne, because he's the only one I think is going to play twice. Last 4 game weeks had 12 attempts on goal as well. Only Sterling has had more over the last 4 game weeks on City players as well. And obviously he's created 10 chances. He's top of that, as you would expect there. And he's doing really well there. And we know how good he is at home as well. So he'd be the one I want, but he's just too expensive. He just doesn't fit in my side. So if anyone's out there, they're wild carding or they're free hitting or they've got money to spare, I would definitely get him if you've got a choice. I think if I was bench boosting, Fernandinho would definitely be the one. And I quite like with the bench boost, people get a bit worked up about bench boosts and things, but Fernandinho is perfect for a bench boost. I think he'll play twice. I think you could get 2 clean sheets. So we think you're looking at 6 points for a bench boost, 5 million player. That money saved there, freed up, bung it into your rest of your team as well. And it's also there for game week 38 as well. So at the moment I've got Lewis Cook. So obviously he's rubbish. Plays for Bournemouth, 4.3. But that's great because game week 38, and indeed this week, so I don't have a bench boost, I've got more money invested in my 11. So Fernandinho is a really good option here. And he scored recently as well, and he does get the occasional assist as well. You could be looking at a quite tidy score with him there. But once again, I'm not pretending that he's like the greatest City asset. He's what he is, and he's there for a good bench boost side, I think.
Yeah, he's more effective than the Matic or the Kante option in Chelsea. And, just have to say, Lewis Cook's not rubbish. He's just a fantasy asset. He'll probably be on the plane to Russia, won't he?
He's a great, he's going to be a really, really great talent, but definitely in the context of FPL, he's a lovely make weight on my bench.
Yeah, well, now we are going to get onto some rubbish, though, probably. We're going to talk about Leicester. This won't take long, I don't think, because the question on Leicester is it time to get rid of our Leicester assets? Yeah. We're going to answer this pretty quickly, I think.
So, Sabu Davidka, time to dump Morgan. Park the Bus FC, is it worth keeping Vardy? Zoomers, Bloomers, what to do with Mahrez? We've had a few other questions as well about Chilwell as well. So these are the kind of main assets we've got. Personally, I've got Morgan and Mahrez. I hate owning Morgan and Mahrez. I want to get rid of them. I wanted to get rid of them. Oh, I should have got rid of them before. I didn't. It's what you do that counts. The 5th Palace goal went in. Imagine that. The 5th Palace goal went in against them. I was so tempted to just rage transfer them out. So my simple answer is if you've got any Leicester assets and they're not Jamie Vardy, get rid. Maybe consider keeping Vardy though.
Well, I've got Harry. Harry ended up in midfield, didn't he? He's been on left wing. So Harry's quite excited. I've got to keep Harry because I need three double game week defenders. So I'm going to keep him. But Mahrez and Vardy with heavy heart will go because I need Jesus. Mahrez can't really leave quick enough. He'll probably punish me now. And I know someone who's actually talked about triple captaining Mahrez as a differential. It is weird that he's suddenly just dried up completely, lost interest. He's in the flip flops, whatever it is, but. Vardy as well, to an extent, if you look at his stats, that's all gone down. So for me, that's a simple answer as well. They've got to go to get the City assets in. Barrett, I come to you because you've got Morgan and Chilwell. So presumably they're just going to be on your bench though, are they? Oh, you're muted. Don't worry.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I have too many fires to put out. Bailly's not playing. Christensen's not playing. And at this point, everyone's going to be taking -4s. Is it really worth spending your -4 on a £4.5 million player? Probably not. I mean, you're better off trying to replace a £9-10 million player. There's much more upside.
Yeah, no, actually, I mean, you could probably look at a Swansea defender, but Chilwell will still get 2 games. Morgan will still get 2 games.
Yeah.
Well, maybe. But, I think there's a chance there. So I look at that with Maguire and think, well, I've got other fires. And actually, Maguire's going to play twice. And he might finally get me an attacking return, which is the reason I got him in the first place. Andy, what you think about Leicester? It's everybody out, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, Mahrez is absolute a no-brainer to get rid of now. I think Vardy, I can see the kind of logic. But I remember when he was in streakers goals, I remember saying, I think he's been a little bit lucky maybe to have those goals. The problem is, I almost think he's going to do something over the double game with it because he always does well against the top 6. He's playing Arsenal. And West Ham as well could do something there. But I just can't go without Jesus. So for me, it's not even really a question. I'm getting rid. Morgan is probably one of the worst picks I've made all season, especially as Chilwell, who wasn't going to be nailed on, has done much better than him. I mean, he's not done great, but he's done much better than Morgan. So yeah, Morgan, I kind of want to just get rid of him. And he's going to cost me -4, and I'm probably just going to get a Swansea defender in. And I probably won't gain any points from that, but I wouldn't have Morgan in my side anymore. So I think those 4 points are probably worth it. So yeah, it's get rid time for them. I don't think you can make much of a case to keep any of them, especially if you can get Man City players in as from it.
And you, Az, I guess you're going to concur, are you?
Yeah, I look at it a little bit differently to Barrett. I kind of see each 4-point hit as being completely kind of in isolation, especially at this stage. And if you look at Swansea's next 3 games, they've got 3 all right games. They could get 1 or 2 clean. They need 1 clean sheet to justify a 4-point hit, basically this week. Because I can't see Leicester getting a clean sheet. I can't even see Morgan playing in the next game. I mean, he missed the game before. He's been brought back into the side, and they concede 5 goals. It's just, is there a correlation there? Probably. He's rubbish. So I think a 4-point hit for Morgan to a Swansea defender, and you've got a good defender for 38 as well, and they've got Stoke at home. I think that it doesn't matter how many hits you've taken. To me, I think that is just a complete no-brainer. It's definitely a move that I'm going to do. Okay. I don't want Morgan in my team. He's not a chance. Yeah,
really, I've got it in for the centre backs tonight. Stones, Morgan.
Well, should they?
He's on the hit list, but it's poor. I don't know. He's back to one of his better moods, Jonty. Okay, let's look at differential. Shall we go in there? One more question before we do the preview.
Yeah. So final question. Really, people looking to rise up the rankings or try and catch Bharat as well. Perhaps you're low down in something like 2nd or 3rd, and so you need a good differential to beat him. So FPL Pasty is if trying to climb your mini league or beat Bharat and bridge a gap. Which players should be targeting, and there's 2 teams that I'll mention when it comes to me that Patrick Keane mentions here: Arsenal, Manchester United. Are they the best port of calls for differential hunters?
Okay, I'll go to you first, Az. What do you think on these? Any differentials catch your eye? I mean, you've been pretty brave recently.
I think there's quite a few. I think there's loads of players that you can make a big jump in, particularly this week. You've got Rashford if Lukaku's out. Great option up front. You've got Ramsey when Arsenal get kicked out of the Europa League by Atletico on Thursday. You've got Arnautovic, who a lot of people have still got Willian. I know there's been quite a few questions about should you do Willian to Arnautovic for -4? Yes, obviously, easy move. Don't even think twice about it. Just do it. You've got Ali, in the Spurs mid. Instead, go for him. If you've got, if you've got a Spurs mid available, these are all players who aren't highly owned, and I think whatever rank you are, they're players who could do really well this week. So they'd be some of my picks.
Good selection there, Andy. What are you feeling about that?
Yeah, I think similarly. I think there's quite a few kind of players who are either in good form now or we've seen them haul before. And I've like I said earlier, I've looked at the top 10k kind of percentages. And even like you said, someone like Arnautovic is only owned by 12%. Tadic, who scored 3 and 3, 0.7. Ramsey, as mentioned, 3.6%. He's the one I'm really looking at. That's one reason I haven't made any transfers yet, is because if Arsenal go out, I think I want Ramsey. And someone like Az has got Ali, who's only owned by 11%. That compares to Son, who's owned by 43%. So to have someone like Ali as a differential in the top 10K, I think is a pretty nice move. Obviously, it costs a bit more than maybe a cheap differential if that's what you're looking for. But if you need someone a bit different that we know can score points, then someone like Ali would be good. But yeah, I think there's quite a few. Companies 4.6, Jordan Ayew 7.4%. There's a lot of low-owned players right now, and there's people like Willian. Obviously, these percentages are going to change this week because Willian and players like that are quite highly owned, but they're still going to be pretty low, I think. And yeah, there's some definitely good ways of getting the points from the top 10K or to beat the top 10K.
Well, coming to you next, Barrett. I guess what we're asking you is who are the differentials that you fear that people behind you will get in? Because I mean, that's what you got to be thinking like now. You've got to be watching what they're going to do and anticipate, I guess. And who are you expecting to cause you a few problems? Who are you worried about?
Well, I think when it comes to the differentials, I think you guys, most of you nailed it. Ramsey's the one I'm looking at. In fact, if Arsenal are going out, I'm probably going to bring him in. I got Willian at the same price. And, Ramsey's just been on great form this season. I had him for my free hit week. And he would skip my team ahead, frankly. In fact, I brought him in 3 times this season, just before he got injured every time. But yeah, he's a top pick. The other one people could look at is Sane, because it's the argument is very similar to Sterling. If Sterling's playing 2 out of 3, Sane's playing 2 out of 3. And although he's a little less likely to score than Sterling, he's got much lower ownership, and he could definitely do a number on the rest of us who don't have him.
No, actually, I'll put a name in there as well. I tip Zaha strongly because he didn't have a double game week and he's delivered again. 2 big returns in 3, and Palace have still got good fixtures and they're playing so well. They're creating so many chances, and Zaha seems to be central to it. A player as well. It doesn't have the double game week, but could still be a bit of a differential for the final 2 game weeks. John T, who are you going to throw into that? Or we mentioned the big names.
Well, you mentioned all that. Has anyone mentioned Paul Pogba yet? I think he's looking great. He's looking great at the moment. And there's a couple of great fixtures for Manchester United. So they've got Brighton away, West Ham away, and then final game, because we've got to still be thinking of game week 38, Watford at home. So over the last 4 game weeks, 12 goal attempts, three goals. Is that right? Yeah. So I mean, that's pretty amazing, really. So I really like Paul Pogba. He's very low owned as well, really, in the top 10K. Great differential there. Usual, if Lukaku's definitely out, Rashford's great as well. Danny Welbeck's a cheek. I mean, I'm not saying he's going to get 2 starts, but he's in great form as well for Arsenal. For a chopping and changing Arsenal side. And you mentioned Rams as well. Huge favourite of mine. I'm absolutely kicking myself still that I didn't do what Barrett did. This is why Barrett's number 1 and I'm nowhere near.
Yeah, the free hit. You've
got Ramsey in on your free hit. It's a move I didn't do. It's a move you did. He's a great. And I fear that I might kick myself again if I don't get him in this week as well. Arnautovic as well is another one. Yeah, Williams the one. I'm tempted to keep hold of him. Williams the space. He's the differential space.
Look at Az's face. He's ready to go. He's ready to go.
Yeah.
Please keep him, Johnson.
I know. I might have to get rid. I mean, it'd be very annoying if the problem with Willian at the moment is if I see William's name on the team sheet, I'm convinced he'll do well in this double game week. But I'm not sure I will, because they've changed the system, and the system is not one that Willian is going to be playing in. So it's not a case of a falling out or something like that. It's just a case of Willian doesn't fit with that system. It's benefiting Hazard a lot, and it's at the detriment to Willian. So for me, I think I wish I had another wild card, to be honest. I might run out of hits.
You mentioned Hazard there. No one said Hazard either. Or
Hazard
Sanchez.
is another good
these players.
We did have some questions, Chelsea. We're going to run out of time to speak about them as well. But a few people did mention that as well. And yeah, a lot of people are thinking of him as a differential. I think he is a great option as well if they keep the current formation. Yeah,
I've got to say, at the moment, I've got Willian and Lingard in my midfield. What do you feel about that combo, eh? Does that make you feel slightly nauseous? Yeah.
It really does, yeah.
Okay, let's do the weekend preview, shall we? So Barrett, just to explain what we do here, we pick out a clean sheet amongst the teams, and we'll look at all the fixtures, and also a fancy on a risk, which is kind of like a differential. So we'll pick in one of the players perhaps we've mentioned there. Andy will show you how it's done. Andy, clean sheet and a fancy on risk, please.
Clean sheet, Man City. I think probably the most obvious one.
Unless, for them.
Yeah, unless Stones plays, like I said. Fanny Side and Risk. Yeah, I suppose I've got to go for a double game week player. So I'm going to go for Matt Ritchie. 5 chances created, 4 goal attempts in the last 2 game weeks. It's not fantastic, but it's kind of up there with the midfielders, at least the ones that have got double game week, which aren't super obvious. So, him for me. I know it's a tough double game week for Newcastle, but hopefully he can get something.
We'll go to Bharat next. We don't want to make it too difficult on the guest for the clean sheet, because I've looked at it and thought, actually, I'm struggling already. So, Bharat, if you want to pick a clean sheet and a fantasy island risk, as we call it, for the double game week 37.
For clean sheet, I'm just going to back my team Arsenal against Burnley. I expect they're going to get knocked out by Atletico, so they'll have their first
full strength team. Yeah.
So that's really good. So I'm sending Wenger out on a high note. As for a fantasy island risky pick, I mean, I think we've all highlighted Ramsey, and that Arsenal bias is, is just itching away at me.
Yeah, I think if the Atletico tie is key, isn't it? If they go out, then we think that they're going to go out strong for the final games, and then it unlocks Ramsey and a couple of other players for us, and that's quite interesting. Maybe Monreal comes back in as well. That's going to be key for us on Thursday.
Yeah,
I think. Okay, as your clean sheet, fancy on a risk?
Clean sheet, I'll take Spurs. I mean, they can't play much worse than they played against Watford. They were so lucky to keep a clean sheet in that game, and I think that there's a clean sheet in the West Brom or the Newcastle game. I think probably the Newcastle game. I'd say for my risk, I just suddenly thought of him a second ago. No one's mentioned him, Mkhitaryan.
Yeah,
who looked brilliant against United. I thought when I saw him in the lineup, I thought, has he been rushed back into this game a bit, or but he looked really sharp, and there's a gif of him just absolutely destroying, like I think it was Young and Pogba or something on the wing, and no one owns him, and I think he's a potentially really good option for the double game week. Maybe even him and Ramsey if you wanted to take a risk on both of them. I think he's afraid this one. Oh, just to mention Andy's success with the risk go. Matt Ritchie, that's a player everyone should be getting in.
His record at the moment. He called Kane, he called Tadic. He's got some kind of Nostradamus-like powers at the moment. It's incredible, your record right now. Green Windmill is totting up the points as we speak there. I'm hoping that Green Windmill lets Bharat as Ramsey. I think he will. I think he'll let him have that as he's a guest tonight as well. John T, your clean sheet and fancy on him is?
I think there's one clean sheet in it for Chelsea at home to Huddersfield. I think that looks pretty sorted there. And am I allowed Paul Pogba?
I'll let you have him.
I think there's a fancy on risk. I don't think he's in any template at the moment. I think it's only real, maybe diehard Manchester United fans who are definitely going for him. But I haven't seen him mentioned anywhere. I think people are looking at City, they're looking at Spurs mids, and they're ignoring Pogba. I think Pogba is a good price for what he's offering away to West Ham and away to Brighton.
And he nearly pulled the plug there. He was nearly off. He was disgusting.
Greenwood was never letting you go with that. Four attacking returns in the last 4.
Yeah, he's not happy with that.
No.
Greenwood will be intervening after this. I will go for Swansea. I think a clean sheet there. We talked about them. They've got to get one. I think they probably will. And my risk, a lot of the players we've mentioned, Lanzini I'll go for. Everyone's talking about Arnautovic. West Ham have got to get a result, and I think they're going to have goals in them. And Lanzini impressed me when he came back. Him and Arnautovic are obviously the big deal for West Ham. And I think if they're going to score any goals, it's going to come through those two, either with goals and assists. So I'll go Lanzini. I don't think anyone's going to buy him, but that's the point of fancy on and risks, I guess. I'm trying to take a leaf out of Andy's book here. Okay, let's talk about our transfers and our captains. And I don't really want Bharat to answer this one, but we'll go to Andy first. Who are you captaining and what are you doing transfer-wise?
Yeah, captain, kind of what I said. I want to not captain Kane by Friday. We'll see if that's changed. I'm really tempted by Sterling at the moment, but we'll see what happens. Transfers, Mahrez and Vardy definitely out for Sterling and Jesus, no question. I just need to fund that. And it's probably going to be Willian to someone like Fernandinho, I expect. I could take Alonso out to get a better midfielder, but at the moment, Alonso's becoming a differential. And if they can get something against Liverpool, I think there's a chance he starts both games. And so Alonso's a differential. I know they've not been doing much recently, but again, trying to get into the top 10K, I've probably got to take a bit of a chance. And even saying that out loud, a chance on Alonso doesn't seem right. So I'm going to keep him. So I think it'll be Mahrez, Vardy and Willian out for Fernandinho and Jesus and Sterling.
Okay, Az, what are you up to?
I'm very worried about not having the triple captain chip. It's come down to this week now, and I think it's about 60% of the top 10k or something still have it. So if I pick the wrong player and a Sterling or a Kane or a Jesus delivers and I haven't gone with them, then that is really going to hurt. My main aim is just to pick a player who Jonty hasn't got, or to pick the captain that Jonty hasn't got, because and just hope that player blank.
It's a grudge match going on now. Yeah, it's very close.
It's so close now between us, and we've got Jack Wayne up there as well, and Green Windmill. So yeah, it's really tight between the four of us. I'm really worried that triple captain is going to hurt, and if you nail it, that's what 15, 20 points probably. That's you'd expect to get for a good haul. So a bit worried. I don't know who my captain's going to be yet. I honestly don't. It's between. I don't think I'm going to go for Sterling because I think he's going to miss one of those games. So it's probably going to be Jesus or Kane. I haven't decided yet. My transfer will be Lukaku to Jesus, and then I'll be taking Morgan out for Norton.
Okay, Jonty, what are you up to? Do you want to say with Az in the room?
No, I'm happy to say. I think it's between Kane. If I want to consolidate and just not that effective ownership. Or Jesus. If I got a hint that he was going to definitely start both. I mean, he should start both, but yeah, it's one of those two, captain. So I'm going to get rid of Mahrez for Sterling. Can do that straight. I want to take more though. I think I'm going to go up to 2 hits. I think, but maybe 1 hit for maybe 2. So Morgan's on the chopping block there, Barnes as well, and Willian as well. So 1 or 2 of them are definitely going. Mawson, I've got my eye on. I think if he's got the odd goal in him as well, that's handy. As you said, I think he's got at least a clean sheet. Jordan Ayew, he's not explosive or anything, and I'm in 2 minds about that because I kind of want Ashley Barnes for game week 38. They only have a great fixture then. So Willian for however much money I've got left, really. Could be Ramsey, could be Pogba. I just think that's a good differential place. I think I'm going boring, dull for most of my team, but I feel like I can let myself loose a little bit. A bit more flamboyant for that pick.
Oh, release freedom to do what you like as you're getting near the end of the season. Just let yourself go. Was daunting for one more game week. Yeah, game week 38, you can take some risks there, can't you? Particularly if you get ahead of Az. Okay, so I'll go for quickly what I'm doing. Captaincy, it's 50-50 with Jesus and Kane at the moment. I wish Kane did enough the other night to convince me, but at the moment, I'm maybe 60-40. I'm going with Jesus because I just think City, those 2 fixtures, and he's going to play both. Sterling's not in it for me. I think he will not start one of the matches. Transfers, it's going to be Willian out, it's going to be Mahrez out, it's going to be Vardy out, and it's going to be Jesus, Sterling. And I'll probably just get MacArthur in to give me $1 million to spend in the final game week, so it gives me a bit of flexibility. I'm looking at Alonso, maybe taking an 8-point hit. I'm not convinced Alonso is going to start more than, well, he may even start 1 match over the next 3. So I possibly could go, but like Andy says, Alonso's shaping up to be a bit of a differential, so I might hold on to him and probably just take the 4-point hit. That's me. We're coming to you, Bharat, now. I must say, I don't want you to go into too much detail, but you are bench boosting, so perhaps you could give us a clue about how many hits you're going to take without going into the specifics, perhaps?
Well, I'm not too worried because my moves are fairly obvious at this point. I have to take Bailly out. I have to take Christensen out. Willian looks like, he's not going to be starting anymore, or maybe he starts 1. So that's 3 guys right there. The only tricky decision is whether to stick with Mahrez this week and then use him to go to Salah next week, or just move in with Sterling now because, Rizwan's got Sterling and lots of the other guys are picking up Sterling. So just, close them down there. So it's pretty straightforward for me from here on in, and it's just fingers crossed, really.
I can see Rizwan and Paul just making notes now as you're saying all that.
How many points are you ahead, Bharat?
What?
How many points are you ahead of second?
Just 5 points on Rizwan.
Yeah, 5 from Rizwan, and 20 from Paul. But Paul does have goals imminent, as I said. It's going to be fascinating, isn't it? And the bench, and obviously Rizwan's got the triple captain. You've got the bench boost. Paul's got the triple captain, and there's managers. It can even go down to 5th, 6th, and even the top 10. We just don't know because in the final game week, and also they may even start taking risks now. So we might see some really differential triple captains played in game week 37 in that chasing pack. So yeah, it's going to be an absolutely fascinating run-in, Yeah, I mean, it's brilliant to have you on board for the Scoutcast tonight, because I just think it's great. Very brave of you to come on and chat to us so candidly. Very brave to come on full stop, given our record on here for people who've been on and in the upper echelons of FBL. So thank you very much for joining us.
Now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, to be fair, it's a ballsy move to come on, but you've made those decisions a lot of the season. You got rid of Salah, as you said, and you've made some great calls, which is why you're obviously sitting there at the top at the moment. So I've got to say best of luck to yourself, but best of luck to Rizwan and Paul and those chasing as well. We'll see how that goes in the next few game weeks. And it's good night from me.
Good night from me.
Good night.
Good night and good luck, Bharat.
Oh, and good night, and thanks for having me, guys.
Good night. Thanks all.